Join us as we dive deep into collection storage and bring to light amazing and quirky pieces of Stearns County history, each with a unique story to tell.
Hi, Eric.
Afternoon.
So I don't know who my Air Raid Warden is. Is that bad?
You need to know who your Air Raid Warden is. If this was World War II, you would need to know your Air Raid Warden. So here we have a map of Cold Spring, Minnesota that was drawn in 1942 by Glanville Smith. In the map, it lays out the entire town of Cold Spring, at least as it was during the war. And if you look closely, you can see how each block is broken down, and it is labeled with its Air Raid Warden. So each Air Raid Warden was assigned a chunk of the town from 1 to 4 blocks, depending on the city. And they were responsible for making sure that everyone complied with the Air Raid Warning rules. During the dark early days of America's participation in World War II, people didn't know what to expect. Those who lived on the coasts felt particularly vulnerable. German subs were taking an enormous toll on Allied shipping off the East Coast, and rumors were flying that the Japanese had plans to invade California. In the middle of the country, word on the street was that the Nazis had in development a long-range bomber that could attack the U.S. In fact, they did. It was the Ju-390 long-range bomber, or New York bomber. Although a couple of prototypes were built, the planes never got off the ground, so to speak, and the project was eventually scrapped. Nonetheless, many Americans were spooked. In order to gain some control, and to draw people into the war effort both physically and emotionally, the War Department instigated the Civil Defense Air Raid Program. This was designed to cover multiple bases. According to literature from 1942, the purpose of the defense councils are for the service of the respective municipalities in the event of air raids, disease, epidemics, catastrophes, or emergencies of any kind. But in 1942, people were really only thinking of German bombers. So, from Middle America, Cold Spring, Stearns County, Minnesota, here's an article from the Cold Spring Record, February 1942, concerning the formation of Cold Spring Civil Defense Council. Cold Spring Civilian Defense Council began taking definite shape during the past week with the appointment of various committees. Similar defense setups are being made throughout the nation. Purpose of the defense councils are for service to their respective municipalities in the event of air raids, disease epidemics, catastrophes, or emergencies of any kind. Appointments to date in Cold Spring include 2 special police officers, 2 special firemen, and a chief air raid warden, and a group of block wardens. Duties of the special police, who were appointed by Mayor Paul Tyson, will be to assist the village marshal or county, state, or national peace officers when called upon. Likewise, the special firemen, appointed by Paul M. Woken, may be called upon to serve with the local fire department or with other committees during disasters. Mark A. Wenner has been named chief air raid warden, his assistants to be block wardens. Block wardens are located 1 each block or approximate block in the village. Men having telephones in their homes or places of business are deemed most favorable for this position. Duties of the block wardens consist of being on the alert at all times and in case of emergency, an approaching hazard, epidemic, or any move or situation which seems unusual, they are to notify the chief warden, take charge of matters as best they can. First meeting was March 9, 1942. Everyone understood that the chance of an actual air raid in Cold Spring was something less than 0, but people were still determined to do their part. The meeting was remembered by Glanville Smith, who was a block warden. I went off to the Air Raid Warden's meeting at the village hall and took notation when blanks were being filled in, and also got fingerprinted. I couldn't help but think what fun it would have been to plant a giant firecracker under one of the windows and have an alarm phoned in just as it was ready to go off. Hard to take these meetings seriously, but Lord knows the wardens attended to a man.
So besides the map, you have these 2 other pieces. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Certainly. So air raid wardens were not issued uniforms. You just wore your street clothes. In order to signify to the public that you were an official air raid warden or civil defense worker, you were given an armband. This armband, if you look closely, you can see back here, it's got some cotton tape, and you would put it on your bicep and you would tie it onto your clothing and oftentimes pin them so they didn't fall down. This one signifies civil defense, and they came with different designs. These were both worn by civil defense workers in Stearns County during World War II. And then this would be the issue helmet. They didn't wear standard Army helmets. They were all given civil defense style helmets like this, which is more of a construction worker helmet, thinking that if, in fact, there was an air raid, sometimes these people would have to go in to damaged buildings, and they wanted more protection for their heads than an Army style helmet.
So, how many enemy air raids were there in Cold Spring, or all of Stearns County, during World War II?
This should come as an absolute shock. None. But they were prepared.